Bosses are firing Gen Z workers in record time, and there's a reason why. In fact, there's a lot of reasons, and in this video, I'm going to cover what they are. And while we're at it, let's look at a few Gen Z case studies to see exactly how they behave in the workplace. But before we get into that, if you're interested in more career content just like this directly from a corporate recruiter, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You may also want to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content. And I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Delete Me. More on them in a minute. So the headline reads, 1 in 6 companies are hesitant to hire recent college graduates. Intelligent.com back in August did a survey of 966 business leaders who were involved in hiring decisions at their companies, and they were asking them about their attitudes towards recent college graduates and their hires. In other words, the Gen Z workforce that they've just recently hired. And it was really interesting what they found because 75% of the companies reported that they had indeed hired some Gen Z, and somewhat shockingly, 6 out of 10 admitted that they had fired a recent college graduate in the same year that they hired them. And the survey gives a lot of detailed reasons why, and we'll get into them in just a second. I want to put a little disclaimer here and say, these are not necessarily my viewpoints of Gen Z, but rather I'm just reporting what the data is saying. And according to the study, 75% of companies reported at least some issue with recent college grad hires. And if we scroll down, we can see some of the reasons why. And the most frequently cited reasons why these new hires didn't work out was 50% of these employers are saying that there's a lack of motivation or initiative. There's also a lack of professionalism, and that's nearly 46%. Then organizational skills and communication skills seem to be lacking. And then probably playing right in line with that is challenges with feedback or not taking feedback very well. They also reference a lack of relevant work experience, which is interesting because as an entry-level person, you shouldn't be expected to have relevant experience. That's why they're entry-level or college grad. But nonetheless, this may be a disconnect from what employers are expecting versus what we're experiencing on the job market. You have these entry-level positions that are requiring 2 and 3 years of experience, and it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And so that's a big pain point for a lot of people. They also say poor problem-solving skills, insufficient technical skills, bad culture fit, and difficulty working in a team. Now, it does seem like they're piling on poor Gen Z here, but nonetheless, that's what the data is saying. And 6 out of 10 companies has had to fire a recent college grad this year. So that's pretty shocking. What that tells me is that companies are hiring people, they're hiring Gen Z, they're hiring entry level, and they're not really putting up with what they perceive to be a cultural mismatch. And so they're making moves on people relatively quickly. And if you were to head over to TikTok, which we'll do in a minute here, and look at some of these stories of people who are getting terminated, it's clear that employers are slow to hire, quick to fire, and we're probably going to continue to see that trend, especially as the generations shift in the workplaces. One generation is exiting and a new generation is moving in. And this next one is particularly discouraging because these employees are coming into the workplace after spending $100,000 plus on a college degree, and it's very obvious that these universities, these schools, are not preparing people for success in the modern workplace. There's a huge cultural disconnect, and there's clearly not enough transition training to get people ready and acclimated for what the working world is like. And the numbers support it. It says beliefs that hiring managers have about recent college graduates, that they're entitled. And that's 65 or 70%. And I think that there's a lot of feedback that I've seen where they're trying to get promoted too quickly without the skill or without the demonstrated experience and wanting these really big salaries, but not necessarily paying their dues. They also get offended easily, and that's 65% there as well. Lack of work ethic, doesn't respond well to feedback, unprepared for the workforce, poor communication skills, lack of motivation, costs more to train, and lacks technological skill. That's actually really surprising that looks like 28% said that they lack technological skills, because you would think new generation coming into the workplace should be on the far end of, they grew up with iPads and iPhones and all this stuff. But nonetheless, there is a disconnect between what these colleges are preparing these kids with, these real life skills, and what they're actually entering into the workplace with. And so employers are saying that they're just not prepared. It also says that 1 in 5 say they can't often manage the workload and are unprofessional. It says about 20% say they are often late to start and they often don't dress professionally. And additionally, 19% say they often don't use appropriate language at work, and they observe that they're often late to meetings. And 17% say they believe they're often too difficult to manage, and they often hand in assignments late. And so I don't know if that's a cultural thing at universities where there's not necessarily a time management component, or they're not teaching that, or professors are okay with them handing in their assignments late. But obviously in a workplace setting, showing up to meetings late, showing up to work late, turning in your assignments late is the fastest way to getting onto a performance improvement plan and being exited from the business. And for some employers, it's gotten so bad that 1 in 7 companies may not even hire any college graduates in 2025. And that might seem like, oh, that's not that many. But when you extrapolate it out to all of the employers and all the job opportunities and all the people who are coming into the workplace every single semester and every single year, that's a significant number. And not surprisingly, 1 out of 6 hiring managers is hesitant to hire recent college grads. And they feel that a stronger work ethic and a better attitude would make these college graduates more hireable. And listen, I think we should show Generation Z a little bit of grace here, because they've entered into the workplace at a time where it's one of the most topsy-turvy and difficult job markets ever. And a lot of college grads are finding themselves having to apply to thousands of positions in some cases in order to get a start in their career. And unfortunately, what that means is that your information is being shared with a lot of different data brokers through your background checks and employment and education verification processes. And that's why I'm so excited to partner with this video sponsor, Delete Me. Basically, what Delete Me does is they look for instances where your personal information is showing up with third-party data brokers, and then they actively work behind the scenes to scrub your information for you. And getting started super easy. You just fill out a simple intake form. You have to provide some personal information so that they know what it is that they're looking for, and then they get to work looking for instances where your information is showing up on the World Wide Web. And every so often, they'll send you a report which will share where they found your personal information and what actions they're taking to remove it. So it's just an added layer of protection and peace of mind knowing that Delete Me is working behind the scenes for me. And they've been very gracious to offer a 20% off discount if you use the code LAYOFF at sign up. I will leave a link in the comments below. So if you're somebody that's entering into the workplace and you're saying like, geez, how am I supposed to make a name for myself, especially in a generation where potentially hiring managers are painting me with a certain brush? Well, these hiring managers are giving us feedback. They're saying they want people who show initiative, who have positive attitudes, who show and demonstrate a strong work ethic. I mean, these are all basic stuff that you would think that everybody would want to demonstrate, but this is what employers are demanding. They're asking for people to be adaptable, to be open to feedback. They're also looking for people who are punctual and reliable. They're not showing up late to meetings constantly. They're not showing up unorganized and unprepared. They're looking for people who have solid technical skills, their interpersonal skills, potentially internship experience. I can vouch for that for sure. When I was recruiting the college programs, we absolutely look for people who had internship experience. So if you're in school and you're watching this, I would absolutely recommend that you take as many internship programs as you can, as early into your degree program as you can, because that will give you what they're looking for next is some of this work experience and also work appropriate social media. I mean, social media is becoming more and more of a thing where you've got people who are posting everything and anything on their TikToks, on their Instagrams, and employers can see that stuff. They go off and they search. And if you don't think that employers aren't searching your social media before you get hired, I can guarantee you they are going out and checking out, especially the hiring manager, making sure that you would fit into the culture of the team. I mean, I sit here and I watch some of these TikTok videos of people slacking off at work and they're bragging about it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, do you not think that your employer or your boss or somebody on your team is going to see this and maybe not have a great impression of you as a result? But nonetheless, there are people out there that do that. And with the rise of social media, I do feel like the younger generations haven't necessarily separated the two. You don't have to share every aspect of your life, especially on social media and especially in a professional setting. And of course, and this is a super hot button today, is avoiding political topics and talking about politics. I mean, there are people who get fired because of their political views. And just out of curiosity for feedback, I looked at the comment section and was finding some really interesting things. And this person says, I own a construction company in Southern California. The problems aren't limited to just college grads by any means. Young people today, with few exceptions, are the most entitled and uneducated people I've ever seen. That's a pretty strong statement. It says that the people that I've hired under the age of 30 completely lack communication skills. They have zero critical thinking, and they're devoid of any motivation and require constant supervision. Man, this is pretty scathing. It says that they have zero attention to detail and become frustrated at anything that requires persistence. And they also refuse to separate themselves from their phones. I think that this is probably a pretty valid complaint. When you're in the workplace, being constantly on your phone, that probably will get you in trouble, especially if you're constantly scrolling TikTok. It's like this instant feedback loop, this constant like dopamine hit that you always need to have. And people are, we're all addicted to our devices, but putting it down when you're in a workplace setting is super important. It says it's literally impossible for them to put their phone down and focus on work for more than 10 minutes. This is like really short attention spans. And I think that this is a symptom of social media. I know I participate in social media, but I do feel that this is a symptom of the constant swiping. Here's also a person that says that they worked in a very busy emergency department, and we had brand new nurse graduate who would not stay off of her phone, ignored her assignments and patients, and was texting friends about the patients in the emergency room, I guess. And that's really sad and completely inappropriate that they're texting and talking, I'm assuming talking crap on their patients or customers. They took away her phone and locked it in the med room, and she had a tantrum. And she finally, having a tantrum at work because your phone, I deal with tantrums with my 5-year-old, but having a tantrum because of technology in the workplace is just completely inappropriate. And it says that she was finally given the choice, her phone or her job, and she chose the phone. So the sad part here is that they stopped hiring new nurse grads after it, at least according to this comment, and that means that the people who actually do have good work ethic and want to be there and want to get started in their career are the ones who are actually getting hurt here. It's not the people who don't want to be in the workplace. It's the people who genuinely want a strong career. And those are the people that I feel bad for. And one more, this is in the government sector. A government IT professional commenting, same experience. Our division recently hired computer science grads for entry-level IT admin positions. Not one of them lasted more than 6 months, not a single one. Each had the same issues this article describes: no focus, attention, communication skills, any urgency, professionalism, and more. Frankly, it was shocking to observe the social and professional dysfunction. So out of curiosity, I went over to TikTok and I found a few videos, sure enough, of Gen Z who are talking about getting fired. Now, we'll put a disclaimer here that I tried to find a variety of people, but it seems overwhelmingly that women like to post this stuff more than men. I didn't find very many men talking about getting terminated. It was mostly women, which I found to be very interesting and odd.
Part 2, and the last part of how I got fired 3 times from 3 different companies and how they were all my fault. After I got my accounting diploma,
One real quick thing. She seems awfully proud and happy to be talking about how she got terminated.
I worked 2 back-to-back accounting roles for 2 different companies, and I got fired from both of them within the same year. My first accounting role, I got in so much shit for being on my phone all the time because the role was just so boring. The company culture also sucked because there were so many snitches. Like literally random people would walk by my desk and tell management anytime I was on my phone. Obviously, after my first warning, I didn't go on my phone as much, and people would still snitch on me if I was doing something as little as like changing the song or like changing the podcast that I was listening to. It got so bad that management physically moved my desk to be in front of her desk so she could watch and make sure that I wasn't on my phone. She would have rather that I just click around the screen on my computer if I ran out of work and after I reviewed everything already. They were also so cliquey. Like I hated going to lunch, and it was like such a high school vibe because like management would literally be like that group of girls that would like whisper among each other and like point and like laugh. Anyway, that made me realize I didn't like being micromanaged, so I didn't really care about getting fired from there. Plus they were barely paying me anything. In the next accounting role, this girl that was like the all-star employee just had it out for me. A recruiter got me that job and I didn't have any problems. He only said that it was 8-hour days and I could start anytime between 6 and 9. I was like, okay, cool. And I did my job. And then halfway into my contract on Black Friday, my recruiter visited me to let me know that he talked to HR and HR thinks that I'm doing a really good job. He was like, keep up the good work, reward yourself with some Good Friday shopping today. And I did. In the middle of me shopping, like I was at checkout, the HR of that company called me and was like, yeah, we're gonna have to let you go. He was mad about it too. Like he was like, don't bother coming in to get your stuff. We'll get it mailed to you. And I was like, what happened? And apparently the All-Star employee was talking mad shit about me, saying that I was coming in whenever I felt like it and that I thought I was too good for everyone because I didn't like to interact with people. No, it was just her. I didn't like interacting with her because she was always such a bitch to me. She didn't know the terms of my contract regarding the hours, so she made it sound like I was literally just coming and going whenever I felt like it. Anyway, I didn't want to fight it because I didn't like that company either, and I just hate doing accounting. And this was the actual getting fired moment that actually messed me up because I was completely blindsided that I literally left the store without paying. Obviously, I went back and paid for it after the employees chased me down, but like they were very sympathetic because they could see on my face that I was in complete disbelief. Anyway, I'm not like that anymore, and I actually straightened up and I started working an accounting role again for this really big bank, and they actually had like insane training. I like the training, but I hate accounting, so it was actually me that made the decision to leave this time. Now I've been at my job at this investment firm for the last like 3 years now, but moral of the story is, if you're an adult like me that had to learn responsibility at a later age, don't be ashamed of it. It comes eventually, or it's forced to come out in dire situations when you need to.
So it looks like the positive news here is that she's learned from her mistakes and looks like she's finally found some footing in a career path that maybe is a little bit more fulfilling for her. But you can kind of see the mentality of kind of lackadaisical and not being totally engaged, being on your phone, coming and going. Even if there is an ambiguous time frame in your, she said in her contract, I would still recommend getting very clear feedback from your boss about what's the expectation. And if you're noticing that all of your coworkers are coming in at a certain time, I would personally probably try to mirror that myself. I wouldn't go rogue and come in whenever they want, especially in the beginning of your contract or your tenure at the employer, because everybody's looking at you and seeing what kind of impression you make. And if you're coming in later, I mean, yeah, the coworkers seem like she may be out to get you, but oftentimes the boss is looking for those more senior people on the team and saying like, how's she doing? And if she's reporting back, well, she comes and goes as she pleases. She's not getting anything done. She's on her phone all the time. Of course, that's going to be pretty negative feedback, and that's going to get back to the boss. Next up, we have another employee who's actively getting terminated on this video, and well, you can hear the reason why.
Okay, can you, I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah. Hi, Tatiana. This is, Shelly from HR.
From HR, okay.
Me?
No, I don't remember you, but what's going on?
Well, we had a discussion a couple weeks ago about your absenteeism and tardiness.
Okay.
Do you know what time you have to be clocked in at work?
6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 a.m.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, on 7/18, you clocked in at 6:12.
Wow.
We had a discussion about that,
12 minutes.
But if the schedule says that you need to be there at a certain time and she's showing up 12 minutes late, she's 12 minutes late. The fact that she doesn't seem to see this as an issue is the most concerning part.
Yeah, but, they're waiting on you to be there, clocked in and ready to work at 6.
Okay.
So your employment is really going to be terminated as of today, because also on 7/28 you clocked in at 6:21.
21 minutes.
Yes, that's 21 minutes of company time.
But I still work though. Like, why didn't y'all tell me that today when I was just at work?
Because I handle all the HR, so they wanted me to call you because we had that discussion, remember, about...
And that was the day that I let alright, keep going.
So you were also on 8/8, you clocked in at, 6:32.
That was it. Okay, so I let my cousin use my car the night before, and he didn't bring it. He overslept or something. He didn't bring it back till the morning. So, I still made it, though.
That was literally, 9 days after we talked. So, and then on 8/12, you just did a no-call, no-show.
That was my birthday. August 12th, that's my birthday.
You'll get the no-show just because it's your birthday. That's a very interesting excuse.
I already told you.
Request that day off work, though.
But y'all know, that's my birthday. I'm not.
Birthday.
No, that's fine. All right. Okay.
Everyone works on their birthday. Even I worked on my birthday.
Y'all too grown for me.
Well, unfortunately, I just need you to turn your keys in. And your
I'll be there
badge.
tomorrow, because that's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh.
Like, what?
So I don't know what kind of position. I'm suspecting it's probably not a white collar job. It might be a retail or something like that because she carries keys, whatever. But nonetheless, this sense of entitlement, a sense of lack of responsibility, doesn't see anything wrong with no call, no shows, showing up 30 minutes late consistently, especially very early into her tenure. You know, you've got all your coworkers waiting for you and you're basically putting all the work on them, and the fact that she just doesn't see any issue with this. I mean, this obviously is a complete red flag employee. And then this one's just kind of a quick one, but nonetheless, this is the mentality, I think, of what they're referring to in that the survey.
Everybody keeps asking me why I got fired from my job. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything for 15 months, and they found out.
I think this is a quitting in place or quiet quitting, whatever you want to call it, where basically he didn't do any work and kind of skated by. And unfortunately, those days have come to an end. You can't really do that anymore in today's workplace. There's too few jobs, too many people wanting them, and employers are not seeming to tolerate that nearly as much, which is evident in the fact that Gen Z is getting terminated, unfortunately, with more frequency. But the thing is, it's easy to beat up on Gen Z. It's easy to say that it's an entire generation, but we all know that that's not the case. It's a few bad apples that spoil it for the rest of the generation. And I speak with experience here, and I can say this for a verifiable fact that there are a lot of very motivated, very driven Gen Z employees because I speak with them in my career coaching. And I've talked to some very bright, very driven, very methodical, very strategy-oriented people that are just getting started in their careers, and I know that they're going to achieve a lot of great things. So it's a shame that this is the perception that employers have of Gen Z because it's just not a blanket statement. You can't say that about any generation. So if you're in the generations that are being targeted here, I would just go above and beyond and do all the right things. I mean, it's just this simple, fundamental stuff. It's just be a good employee. So that's why employers and bosses are terminating Gen Z employees at a fairly high clip. Now, keep in mind, every generation has had the same feedback at one point in time or another. So Gen Z, don't feel like you're unique here. And eventually, the generation coming in behind you will have similar type of feedback. It's just how the world works. And like I said before, I think we should show Gen Z a little bit of grace because they're getting started in their careers at one of the most difficult job markets I've ever experienced. Secondly, they're also helping to drive some change. Work-life balance being one of them. That's very welcome. And I think we can all agree the workplace has increasingly become unhealthy and out of balance, and hopefully Gen Z will be able to continue to make inroads to improving things. So anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Gen Z, do you feel that this is an accurate assessment or unfair? And if you've worked with Gen Z, what's your experience like? Anyway, like always, appreciate you watching. Again, I want to thank today's sponsor, Delete Me, and we'll see you on the next one.